Hey girlies, we are about to make teriyaki chicken casserole, which is a favorite in this house and is super easy, just takes a little time. So let's get started. So to start, I make my own teriyaki sauce. So I use garlic, I use a ginger paste, brown sugar, and low sodium soy sauce, and water is really all you need to make this. So I'm gonna start with this 1 cup of water. Thank you. Here, you take this. All right, and then I'm also making double the recipe. So when I post the video, I will put just for 4 people instead of 8, because you guys probably aren't cooking for 8, in there. So then I'm also going to use 1.5 teaspoons, not teaspoons, cups. That's a big teaspoon. 1.5 cups of low sodium soy goes in my pot. And then I am going to use 1/2 cup. Now, okay, the recipe calls for 1/2 cup of brown sugar. I don't use 1/2 cup brown sugar because I like it a little sweeter. I actually double that up. So I'm going to use a whole cup of brown sugar. And when I post the recipe, I will show that to you as well. And then we use this. I don't like tons of ginger in my stuff. I like a little flavor, but I don't like an overly ginger taste. So it calls for a teaspoon, and I do about that much, which is basically a teaspoon, so it's not bad. Then get my garlic. Also, before you start anything, sorry to say, set your oven to 400 degrees. And then, all right, so once you use a teaspoon of garlic, you can cut this yourself, but I don't have time for all that. I have no problem against
extra garlic.
Okay, and then I put that in there. Did I put all that in there? Yeah. Okay, so then we boil it.
Boiling.
You want to bring it to a boil, stir it up, and then what you have to do. I'm just going to get all this ginger and sugar mixed in there. Okay, I'm going to wait for that to just start to like a little boil. It doesn't have to be rolling. I'm going to spray. You need a 9x13 pan to cook your chicken in, because what we're going to do is we're going to put chicken breast in here. We're going to cover it with 1/2 of our teriyaki mixture, and then we're going to bake it at 400 degrees for an hour. To where then you're just going to shred the chicken in the pan, and then you're going to add the rice in the pan, and you're going to add the veggies in the pan and the sauce, and you're going to toss it all together and put it back in the oven for like 10 minutes just to warm up and kind of get all the yums to melt together. But it's super easy. So what we're going to do next, the slurry. You are going to need a slurry and a slurry is like a thickening liquid to make sauces thick. And you either use cornstarch or you use flour, something like that. But this one actually calls for cornstarch. So I'm going to use 4 tablespoons of cornstarch. Doesn't have to be exact. It's no big deal. And then I need a little bit of water. Not so much. 1, 2, that's probably just right. Okay, and then it's kind of a weird consistency, but it kind of feels like it's not going to stir up, and then it does, and it's strange. Bill, you can't hear me. There is a term for a word that has this consistency where it actually feels like it's hard on top, like if you pound into it, it's hard. It's what?
Oobleck.
Oobleck? What's oobleck?
Oobleck is a toy that you can make by mixing, I think it's 1 part water for every 2 parts cornstarch, and it's a toy that you can play with. And I think it's where it's a solid and a liquid at the same time.
Right.
I don't know.
That's weird.
It's called Oobleck.
Yeah, but it has to have a certain ratio. You can't, like, this. See, I've already put enough water in it to where it's not going to do that anymore. I just want the cornstarch to dissolve. I knew there was a word for it.
Is it like a compound chemical?
Listen, you stop showing your brains on TV. I've been doing a really good job measuring. That's right. She goes to Yum's Academy, guys. She's brilliant. All right. So we're just waiting for this to, once this starts boiling, I'm actually going to turn the heat off completely and then stir in the slurry, and it'll get thick pretty quickly. Because that's the consistency you need for teriyaki sauce. In the meantime, while we're waiting for that to boil, I pulled out my chicken, and we do want to trim the chicken before we cook it because we want to get rid of the yuck. I am a fan and pro-advocator for getting rid of chicken yuck. Put this stuff away real quick. Get a cutting board. Okay, now you're like, what yuck do I need to get rid of? Stop moving around. So here's your standard chicken breast. I know some of you are scared of chicken breast and choose to use tenders, but tenders to me are too expensive, number one, and they've got that weird line of hard stuff in the middle of it that you have to, anyway, I think this is just easier. So we're gonna cut off the tips, any sort of fat, that's fine, that's fine. Any sort of red pieces. Now there's an area that is usually has tons of yuck in it, and it's this little section right here of the chicken breast. I just go ahead and cut that whole section out so I don't even have to deal with it. Am I losing some chicken? Yeah. Do I care? Not really. I'm protecting my loved ones from the yuck. It's a smaller one. Anything that's got like, we remove all the dangly bits. I don't do dangly bits. And this one looks pretty good as far as, see, it still has that weird section right there. I just cut it out, make it easy. Okay. And the good thing is, well, it's not the good thing, just normally if I was going to bake this, I would season it with salt and pepper first. But because we're actually cooking it in soy sauce, it kind of takes care of that for us. And it creates like this crust on it, which is kind of tasty. You also just need to make sure that you don't forget to oil line your pan. So the original recipe called for this chicken to be cooked at 350 for an hour. I don't like that. I tried it and it never comes out as done as I would like. It's not that the chicken is pink, but it's got a texture that I just don't like and doesn't shred easily. So I cook it at 400 for an hour, and that seems to do the trick. All right, so then remove the gunk. And then wash your hands because you don't want to. Well, I'm not gonna wash my hands yet because I still have to move the chicken. So I'm gonna take my pan. I'm gonna lay my chicken in my pan. These are big chickens. Now I'm gonna wash my hands. With soap every time. People die of salmonella. Don't be the one that does. Save your friends and your family. Okay. All right, so we're back to the soy sauce mixture. Ooh, this got hot. We're just waiting for it to boil, so give it a second. All right, now that our soy sauce mixture is boiling, I'm going to introduce the slurry while stirring. And you keep it cooking until it gets to the thickness that you want. It takes a couple minutes, not too long. Not even minutes, it takes 40 seconds. It's getting there. It's starting to look more viscous. That's right, that's a weird term. Sorry. Boil, baby, boil. The more it boils, the thicker it'll get, so. I just need it to get a little bit warmer. See how the spin is getting slower? Oh, see the sides? The sides are getting all thick and bubbly. There it goes. Almost there. Just needs a little more blobbing time. We're gonna go with blobbing time. Here she goes. Here she goes. Yeah, that's good. All right, so where it kind of looks is almost like a thin maple syrup. It's not water, or thick maple syrup. It's not water, but it's not full-on syrup, but it's thick. All right, so we're done with that. Well, not really. We're done with cooking it, making that. Now, I'm going to take it, I'm going to pour it over my chicken. It doesn't have to cover it completely because we want to leave enough sauce to mix. All right, that's pretty good. Squeezy. All right, now we're going to take this chicken, put it in our 400-degree oven for 1 hour. In the meantime, we're going to make rice. Now, I've just started making rice in my Instant Pot, which is kind of like I can just pour it in and let it go. But not everybody has one of those. So I'm going to show you how to do it on the stove. And there's kind of difference when it comes to rice. There's short grain rice, there's long grain rice, blah, blah, blah. And depending on what you're wanting to get out of the rice, how you cook it. If you want it to be sticky, then you would add more water and you won't rinse your rice. If you want the rice to be more like piecey, you have to rinse your rice. Rinse your rice first before you get started. So, and however much dry rice you cook, it's going to double. So if I make 3 cups of rice that's dry, it's going to give me 6 cups of cooked rice. Got it? Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure my rice out into, now I have a really, really thin, fine strainer, so my rice won't fall through it. No sticky rice. All right, so that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. It should give me a total of 8 cups of rice when I'm done. And generally, when you're cooking your rice, your ratio of rice to water is 1 to 2. So you want to rinse the rice until the liquid that's coming out of the rice, oh, my light went out. That's good job. Turns clear. So I'm just kind of getting in there. With clean hands. It's getting there. Still draining a little cloudy. There we go. All right. So, this is a good noise. All right, so now I'm going to dump it back in my rice pot because it's the best pot in the world. Now, Emily, if I made 4 cups of dry rice, how many cups of water do I need if my ratio of rice to water is 1 to 2?
8 cups of water.
That is right, 8 cups of water. She's a genius. Yay. Okay. Also, don't measure wet ingredients with dry measuring cups. Measure wet ingredients with wet measuring cups. So I got 4. And then 1 more. And then that's 8. And then we're going to turn it on high and let it do its thing. So we will come back to it after it starts to boil and I'll show you what to do next. All right, so now that our rice has started to actually boil, can't wait to get bubbles in the middle. You put the lid on tight. Do not stir your rice. Then turn it on to simmer. Now, for me, on my stove, simmer is low. For you, it might be a 2 or whatever, but set it to simmer for, I do it for 15 minutes. And I check it, and if it needs a little more, I put it in for another 5. So we're gonna set our timer. Alexa, Set a rice timer for 15 minutes.
Rice timer, 15 minutes.
And we'll check on it after
starting
that.
now.
Alexa, stop my timer. All right, so we're gonna check this out and see where our rice is at. All right, still pretty watery, so it needs more time. Alexa, start a timer for 5 minutes.
5 minutes, starting now.
And then we'll check it again. We have let it cook for a little longer. And that's pretty good, right? All right, so what we're gonna do is once the rice is done, Alexa, stop. Once the rice is done, you wanna fluff it. It needs to get all stir-fried. Emily keeps opening her mouth, hoping I just put a piece of it in there. All right, so this, really, you can make this at any time. I want to keep it a little warm, so I usually make it while the chicken is cooking. But this is what we're going to use to mix all of our stuff in. So you can set that to the side, leave the top on because I don't want it to put, if you put the top back on it, it's going to continue to cook and get softer and softer. So leave the top off, and then just let it sit until you're ready. We're now going to check our chicken. It's been an hour. Oh, they look dark and delicious. Are you dark and delicious? Just like my husband. Just kidding. Okay. The pull test reveals the chicken is done. All right, so we're gonna shred this up and be right back. All right, so I've shredded the chicken and I've also mixed all of that sauce into the chicken so it gets super yummy and delicioso. So the next step for me is I'm going to be moving, I'm going to halving this chicken into another pan because I'm making 2 pans worth. But for you, you would then just add your rice and your veggies. So the veggies that I like to use, actually are from Aldi. I've looked at ones from Walmart and different places and they have stuff in them that I don't necessarily like. I use a steamed broccoli stir fry, and all it is broccoli, carrots, pea pods, and water chestnuts. Water chestnuts being Michaela's favorite, and broccoli being Emily's favorite. So, some of the other ones have like corn and Italian green beans, which I've never seen in Chinese before. Like, that's not even the baby corns, it's like corn kernels, which I thought was weird. Or they put like bell peppers and stuff like that, and I don't necessarily want all that in my teriyaki. So this is my favorite. It's the steamed broccoli stir fry. So you just cook it as the instructions in the microwave, and then when it's done, it just all gets mixed together, and I'll show you what it looks like when we're done with that. All right, so I've already added the rice. Now I'm gonna add my veggies and the sauce. So I'm only going to put half of what's left in here because the other half is going to go in the other pan. And just mix this up. Sounds kind of gross, but you just do it. Make sure you get the chicken and vegetables even. The chicken is delicious. Don't look at me. Look at me. Look at the dinner. Just want to make sure that, like, any of those rice clumps, kind of break them up so that there's just enough sauce in the rice. You don't want a big mouth of flavorless rice. Also, if I was doing rice on the side, I would have added like salt or butter or something like that to make the rice have a little more flavor. But when it's being put in a casserole, you really don't need. How's it looking, Em?
Delicious. I love teriyaki chicken casserole though, so it's kind of hard for me to be your judge because I'm kind of biased.
I think everybody does now. Really don't. We're trying not to see any white rice. We want everything brown. Make it all brown. Make the world brown. all trying to do individually. Making the world a little brown. All right, that is looking pretty dope. All right, so just gonna smooth this out a little bit. There's veggies, there's chicken, all kinds of nummy nums in here. And then what I do, take just a little extra sauce on top. And then put it back in the oven for like 5-10 minutes, just so it all kind of gets warm and yummy together. And then you put it on a plate and you eat that sucker. Delicious!